So good morning everyone gathered here. So I am Dr. Manivannan, working assistant professor in computer science engineering department. So going to handle the data structures and algorithm course. So this course is for 3 branches. It's a very basic computer science course. So data structures is need for computer science students, ECE students and it's electrical students, right? So I welcome you all for the video lecture of the data structures and algorithm. So today we are going to be discuss about what is data structures, why do we need data structures, what is the usage of data structures, and what are the various classification and types of data structures, and what are the various abstract data types used for the data structures. That is we are going to be discuss here, right? So the first we start the course is what is data structures. So we have all as a data. So we have to provide the organizing, storage and providing the facility to store the data. So whenever you want, you have to retrieve the information, that is the data. So the various way we are storing and organizing data is called data structures. So before data structures, what is data? It's a collection of information. So whatever you want, you can store as a data. Whenever you want, you can take in the data from the system. So that is called the data structures. So a lot of algorithms and applications for the development of the implementation of data structures. That is we are going to be discussing here. Right. So we know that there is 2 kinds of memories there. One is a main memory, another one is a secondary memory. So the data are stored in a computer system in both the memory. So we have to develop, implement the data structures to store and retrieve the information from the secondary memory as well as the main memory. So one of the famous author in data structures, that is Merriam-Webster's defining the way how we are going to be storing and retrieving the information, that is type of data structures. So one is we can easily store as a contiguous the sequence locations of data. So you have memory, have start with 0. So each and every data is stored in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There is no omission of any memory location. That is called the linear storage of data or sequential storage of data or contiguous storage of data. The another way is a non-contiguous, non-linear. You can store anywhere. With the help of the pointers can easily link to the particular memory location to the particular data. That is non-linear. So comparing to the linear data structures, the non-linear is an efficient one. We can easily store and retrieve without any hesitation, without any intervention of the data. We can easily finding the data whenever you want. That is done by Merriam-Webster's. So what about algorithm? So this is a problem solving technology. So when you are given some particular question, you have to find the solution with a finite set of the elements and the procedures. So for example, if you are going to be add a plus b, so 2 data a plus b, you are going to be finding the value for a plus b. So what is the procedure? Once you have to take in the input for a and then input for b, then we have to add both the data and we can get the value. So within a finite set of elements, we have to provide the step-by-step procedure to identify the solution. That is called algorithm. The Merriam-Webster's is defining the algorithm. So what is that? It's when you are asking the question, the procedure will provide you the answer. When you are asking about the problem, we can provide the solution. So that is the way of definite algorithm. So this is the 2 kinds of algorithm we have. One is non-deterministic, another one is deterministic. So non-deterministic algorithm is a random input we can randomly access. It's not going to be accessed step by step. We can easily finding any kind of data to the algorithm. So it's a mathematical formula, it's a one kind of algorithm. And when you are asking about yes or no questions and boolean questions, it's also one of the algorithm. For example, if the given number is prime number or not, so we have to immediately check the providing input is a prime or not. We have to check it out, right? So the algorithm is given you the solution whether the given number, if 2 is a prime number, then you have to find with the help of the algorithm, problem solving technology, you can easily find whether the given number is prime or not. So now the types of data structures. So lot of classification of data structures. First one is a primitive or non-primitive data structures. So what is primitive? Is a basic data structures provided by all programming languages like C, Fortran, Pascal, Ada, all kind of object oriented programming and procedure oriented programming. So every programming language is providing the primitive data structures, which is very basic. Already the programming languages have the definition. The user cannot going to be modify or change the definition of that primitive data structure. structures. So float is one of the data structure, primitive data structure. Integer is one of the primitive data structures. So from the primitive data structure, we are going to be deriving some data structure that is called non-primitive data structures. So non-primitive data structure is a derived one which is taken from the definition from the that is primitive data structures. The another one, it's a homogeneous and heterogeneous. So homogeneous is a collection of similar data items. So when I am going to be using of integer a, so all the array is using that the array is an integer type. So that is we are going to be using homogeneous. Heterogeneous is a collection of different data items. You can take on one data from integer, another data from float. So floating point value is for example 3.5, which is decimal. So integer value is a whole number, we call it as integer. So when you are going to be add 3 plus 3.5, it's a heterogeneous collection of data items, right? So we will see some example, that is integer a is equal to 5. So integer b is equal to 6. Then we are going to be adding integer c is equal to a plus b. So which is very simple code in C, right? We are going to be adding 5 and 6 and the value is going to be storing into C. Right. So now this is a, b is both are integer, that is int is called it as integer data type. So b is another data item, another variable which is also going to be an integer data type. So both are same data type, so we call it as that is homogeneous. So when you are using this kind of this is integer, so now we have integer a is equal to 5 and the another data item is float b is equal to 5.5. So now we are going to be adding the two different value a plus b. So what happens? So a is from the data type of integer which is a whole number and b is a floating point data items which is a 5.5. So now we have two different data items going to be adding and the value is going to be storing into C. Right. So when you are storing C of two data items, the value of C is a 10. So why? Because we are declaring C as an integer data type. So which is a whole number, but we need is a 5.5, then instead of integer we have to use that is float. So float value only storing the value of floating decimal points. So 5 plus 5.5, so 10.5 is stored is now in C. So like that, this is called it's a homogeneous and heterogeneous. And another type of data structure is static and dynamic. So very important in any programming languages like C. So when you are compiling the code, when the compilation is done by the compiler, the memory is allocated for the particular data item. So that is done by static data structure. For example, the integer a is equal to 5. So integer values occupy 2 bytes for a. So this at the time of compilation, a is getting the memory, it's a 2 bytes, then it's a static data structure. So whenever as the time of execution, when the program at run, when a is equal to 5, b is equal to 6 is getting input, then we are going to be executing at a time. At the time we are going to be allocating the value, that is called dynamic data structures. So dynamic data structure is an efficient one which is not wasted the memory. We can, when the execution are there, when the type of data is given as an input, then we can easily find the memory. The compiler can easily identify the memory location and performing some manipulation. The last one is called it as linear and non-linear. So linear is a sequential access. When you start by 0, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a sequential manner, one by one. There is no omission of any memory location in the structure. But non-linear, as I told you earlier, that is going by as linked by the pointers. It's going to be linked by various memory location which is non-contiguous, which is non-sequential. For example, 0 is stored in one memory location, 5 is stored on another memory location. With the help of pointer we can link these two. That is, we are going to be seeing the data structures type. So now the very important concept, that is ADT, abstract data type. So what is abstract data type? Which is having the set of operations. So I am a user, consider and let I am a very uneducated pupil. Now I want to execute some my manipulation, for example summation. I have a calculator, I am going to be adding given two value 5 and 6 and add. It's the result will be given 11. So I don't know how this addition is performed. So that is called ADT. The user doesn't know about the implementation, only view about the set of operations. So the mathematical abstractions is given by the ADT and you can execute of the various manipulation providing by the ADT, that is called ADT, right. So whether the several simple ADTs are there, it's an integer, real value and boolean and character, pointer, so everything we have to use on this very simple ADTs. So integer is 2. Right, integers occupy 2 bytes, but we don't know how the integers will occupy 2 bytes. Only the programming language providing the data type integer, that's all. We don't know how this 2 bytes is going to be occupied. So that is why they are called it as several simple ADTs is providing by the any programming languages.